Courtney did. As regards Alec Exposed, and Alec, the leak on Alec actually came out of Ohio.
Yeah.
And this revelation about all these bills. And you have in your legislature, I know that Alec has been very much on the march, and not just on the labor stuff, but on a host of other things, going after pension rights, going after the rights of people, tort issues, and things like that. So it's important to understand Alec Exposed came out of Wisconsin, but it really is very much Ohio-rooted as well.
Well, and the great thing about it too is that they're so lazy that they don't even take it off the bill. It'll have Alec on the top of the bill. So I mean, it's like you can't even take a second to change it. But I also wanted to bring up another point that my union sister pointed out was that in Ohio the only jobs left are these public sector jobs, right? I mean, my union, United Free Commercial Workers, we have some private sector jobs, but the bulk of these small towns, their jobs are working at the jail, working for government. So by taking away these public sector jobs, what are you leaving people with? You're not leaving them with anything. So it really puts us in a hard situation.
That's absolutely right. And all right, it's Scott Goodstein. Where is it, Scott? It's everybody all the way up here. Why don't you stand up for 1 second? And I want to bring in one more element. What?
Still short.
You're still short. No, stay up, brother. Why don't you say something? And in fact, Scott, work your way around. I'll introduce you while you come here. Because Scott, this is very important. One of the things about Wisconsin that was so damn cool, and it's an underestimated element of the fight in Wisconsin, was that Wisconsin fully realized, and I see we got my dear friend from Free Press as well, the nation's media reform network, and working on the future of media. One of the things we saw in Wisconsin was that young people, and not just young people, stay-at-home moms, working moms, teachers, grabbed hold of new technology, new ways of messaging, and leapt over the national media, leapt over the in-state media. And Scott, who is rooted in Wisconsin, up in the Sheboygan area, lives out in Washington now, came and did the coolest thing back in 2004, Punk Voter, organizing punk rockers to get people involved. Scott came out to Wisconsin and also worked with a lot of us on messaging for the struggle and on also using all these new technologies. I just want Scott to take a couple minutes and throw something in on that. Sure. Scott Goodstein.
Hey. It was an honor to be part of the Labor Coalition stuff. The original site that we did as a team with AFSCME and the AFL and a bunch of other folks was Governor Walker made this really off-the-cuff remark about how, well, if the public employees really want to go against us, we're going to unleash the National Guard. Now, I don't have the exact quote, but I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So, we were told, like, oh, you know what, we're going to need a coalition little microsite thing, we're going to need a nurse, a teacher, a firefighter, because that's the good public face, and if you want Balin to be governor. But we were like, let's show what the National Guard would look like. So we launched a website called Not My Wisconsin, and it was something that you would virally move around the internet. It was jackbooted thugs in, gear probably taken from Iraq and photoshopped in front of a public building. And what would that look like in front of a public building? And let's show people, like, what will it look like to have your own state government send troopers against the nurse, teacher, and firefighter instead of doing it the other way. We got people to sign up, send in their email addresses, send in their text message addresses, start posting this stuff on Facebook, start tweeting about it, and using the hashtag NotMyWI, which then turned into the conservatives, Republicans were using the hashtag, well, that Wisconsin unions thing. So they were doing WI unions, and all these other union people nationally were like, well, yeah, let's talk about WI union. And it turned into even a bigger hashtag. Quick way of using communication. It was fun and an honor to be a part of it, using text messaging, mobile communications, and microsites.
And very cool stuff. I know it all sounds like big words. Learn it. But the other thing, tell us about the poster for the concert.
So taking off my work hat, John knows me from this other world where I was like, well, what else can we do? And we're like, well, let's call up a bunch of musicians. So I called up Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine, and I asked him, it was not hard to get Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine to show up in Wisconsin. So Tom came, Wayne Kramer from the MC5, who's been standing, he's been working on labor union issues for a while. Street Dogs, a guy named Mike McColgan from the Street Dogs, was in a band called Dropkick Murphys. Brought his new band out to Wisconsin. Ike Riley, a Chicago musician who'd been in Wisconsin, came back up. And Tim McGilrath from Rise Against, a very well-known Chicago punk band that I've been working with for years, decided, okay, let's get all these guys, we're going to come out there, we're going to freeze. And we didn't have a poster. We're like, well, how are we going to promote the show without a poster? So the Street Dogs actually went and got their artist to make a cool little punk poster, because we're like, well, I don't know, I mean, it's great, Aspie's going to probably not do a cool punk poster. Let's just donate that. Let's get a poster. So we're like, well, we'll even pay for the printing of it. Let's just get it done. We know we got union print. So let's get the design, and we got the design, and before anything would ever happen, and there's no chance that it's going to get printed, and there's people, starting to become millions in the square, millions, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, so forget it. We just put it out on everybody's Facebook page. The poster was never actually produced, right? It was like literally moved around through Facebook pages, Twitter posts. All of these bands put up on their website, and 6,000 kids. Which, by the way, if anybody's in DC, like the 930 Club only holds like 1,500. 6,000 people came out to this place. I can't remember the name of it.
The Monona Terrace Convention.
Monona Terrace Convention Center, and packed the place for our second appearance that night. Like after we'd done a free concert on the rally, we then had the night concert that was a little more rocky and a little warmer weather. Well, 6,000 kids just showing up to hear all these different bands and be galvanized. So.
Wow. Scott Goodstein.
They were there so fast in building the social network piece of this, because this was a really fast-moving thing, that by the time in March that the Republicans had figured out a way to pass the bill while the Democrats were still in Illinois, we found that out at like 4:30 in the afternoon. Scott had a text message out at like 4:45, and we had tweets out by 6 o'clock. In an hour and a half, we had 15,000 people around the Capitol Square. And that can only be done through social networking. In fact, 90% of this could only, we started it with the traditional labor organizing of buses from all over the state. But then it became, because of social networking, it became this thing that could move on a dime.
I'm gonna really, taking your question right here, but I want to underline that, because I know that you hear about it. I know you hear social networking and all these words, and I know many of you are already doing it. I can't emphasize what a transformational experience it was to be in Wisconsin and see the power of this. When Michael Moore told us at 8 in the morning on a Saturday he was coming to Madison, because the night before he had seen Sarah Palin and Bill O'Reilly on TV talking about how Michael Moore had ginned up the protest, and he thought he'd go see what he had done. There was not some big structure in place to promote Michael Moore coming. Usually Michael Moore coming, it's like TV, radio, all that. It wasn't there. He told us at 8 he was getting there at noon. Right? And so what happened? Calls went out to the firefighters, to the teachers. I called my kid's teacher. She said, oh, I'll Facebook it. And do you know what happened? There were people from around, all over, who that weekend was not a weekend, they were rolling the buses. People were going elsewhere. People were in their cars, and their phone goes off, they take a look, they wheel around and do that little turn on the freeway. So Michael Moore gets in, we take him to the firehouse. We say, Michael, nobody knows what's going to happen here. We didn't roll the buses. This isn't a big day. All the structure isn't in place. So he comes in the back of the firehouse. They try to find a hat big enough to put him. And then we push open the door of the firehouse. And out front of the firehouse, arrayed in line with the bagpipers in front, 6,000 teachers and firefighters marching to the square. And then he took his place at the front of that line, and they marched around behind the convention center and up toward the Capitol. 50,000 people were there. Now, I want to emphasize, it wasn't all social media. There was people that were going to be there anyway, but I want to tell you, you want to build your crowds, you want to make things happen, you want young people there, embrace this stuff.